Hi there, folks. I have information to present to you today that I am sure you are going to enjoy. And it's all about our exploration of your home being seen as a bank. Now, if you find this information valuable to you, then I would like to ask you to support our channel by leaving a like, sharing the video, and also subscribing if you haven't already, because we are committed to bringing you very powerful information just like the information we are about to discuss. So your support in any form is highly appreciated. Also, I would like to just give a quick note that if you have any questions or queries about our work, then you can reach us by dropping us an email to the email that can be found in the description below, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So with all of that in mind, let's get on with the nitty-gritty. So this presentation marries up very nicely with our previous presentation called You're a Banker, Here's the Proof. So if you haven't watched that one yet, then do check it out. And if you have watched it, then you will already know quite well that we are all legally recognized as a banker, as we are all considered to be in the business of banking in some way. Just to give a quick recap of the law support behind this, as we've covered in the You're a Banker, Here's the Proof presentation, the first evidence comes from the Bank Charter Act of 1844, Section 28 specifically, which reads, "The term banker shall extend and apply to all corporations, societies, partnerships, and persons, and every individual person carrying on the business of banking." Then we have the Bills of Exchange Act of 1882. Section 2 defines banker as banker includes a body of persons, whether incorporated or not, who carry on the business of banking. We also highlighted the definition of the word person here because knowing the detail behind this word is really key. And in fact, we have covered this word in quite a lot of detail in the Are You a Person series, which should help bring you greater clarity about this word and its true significance when used in a legal context. Then we show you that you are considered to be engaging in the business of banking when you make deposits to your own high street bank, as evidenced by the Financial Services and Markets Act of 2000, Regulated Activities Order 2001, which defines deposits in such a way that it literally is the exact description of what we commonly know to be the description of a loan. And we discuss a law definition of loan that confirms this even further, showing us that deposits and loans are different words for the exact same thing. So from all of that information, we can begin to see that we are legally recognized as a person, which refers to a natural person or a sole proprietor who is engaging in the business of banking without the requirement of a license, may I just add. The one example that we have given is to do with deposits actually being loans, but there's even more. Every time you are doing any one of the following, or should I say, you are legally being recognized or presumed to be doing one of the following, then you are actually engaging in the business of banking. This includes safekeeping and receiving other people's money, paying and collecting checks, lending via loans and discounts, issuing promissory notes, buying, selling, or exchanging bullion or other securities, and collecting commercial paper and handling special deposits. So hey, engaging in any one of these activities is enough to have you considered as carrying on the business of banking in the eyes of the law, that is. So if you do any one of these things, you are operating a business at all times. Now, last time I checked, a business needs premises. As you will see from this definition on the screen, a premises is just a house or building, together with its land and outbuildings, occupied by a business or considered in an official context. Right, so all businesses need to have some sort of registered address, with that address being used to refer to the physical location that is associated and recognized as being the premises of that business. In other words, where that business can be physically located. The biggest reason for this, and the one that is our focus, is for the purpose of serving legal documents on that business, right? So there needs to be a physical location where legal documents can be served on someone found at that physical location, which will be legally acknowledged as having been sufficiently delivered to the business itself. So where you have a business, you need to have a premises. And that last bit of the definition, occupied by a business or considered in an official context, also explains why certain companies address letters to the occupier when they don't actually have the name of the business that's registered to that location. So using the word occupier is considered to be sufficient when that company doesn't know the name of the business at that location, in the hopes that the business agent will eventually write back to them and they will then have the actual name of the business at those premises moving forwards. I hope you are starting to see where this is going. Now, very quickly, what actually is a bank? Well, a bank can be defined in two ways. One, as the financial institution that conducts the business of banking, or two, the physical building where these services are offered. We have already discussed that we are all legally recognized as carrying on the business of banking, with the legally recognized person being the banker as defined by law. And we know that all businesses need to have a premises so that legal paperwork can be served on the legally recognized person that is legally recognized as doing the banking business. So if we think logically about all of this information, this can only mean that the banker needs to have an associated address for the purpose of being able to carry out their banking business, but also so that they can be served legal paperwork. So we are legally recognized as a banker doing banking business, and now we need a premises. So let's try to figure out where your banking premises are, legally speaking, that is. So the first question to ask is, when you look at your bank statements from your high street bank that you have an account with, the account that you loan their money to, right? Yeah, that one. Well, what address do you have on there? What address has that high street bank associated that account with? The next question, when you have a company such as a utility company demanding money from you, which address do they write to you at? Which address is associated with that account? If, for example, you were to not pay what you owe someone and debt collectors come calling, where will they come calling to? What address are they going to visit to demand payment from someone physically found at that address? The answer is, well, the common denominator of these questions will most likely lead to the answer of your home, because legally your home is recognized as your banker's banking business premises. So your home is basically seen in the eyes of the law as a big, fat, juicy safety deposit box, or a bank where they can get lots and lots of money from. So it is all starting to make sense then how the police and courts, they all need to have the name and address of the legally recognized person before they can do anything against that legally recognized person, right? they need the business name. So, in other words, they need the name of the banker and they need the banker's premises. So, in other words, the address of the home that the banker can actually be found at. And just in case you had any doubts whatsoever, a good example that your home is legally recognized as premises that your banker is doing banking business from, well, look at this. Debt collectors often visit people's homes to leave a hand-delivered letter saying something like, "I visited your premises to discuss the money you owe." Take this example on the left-hand side of the screen. It is a so-called removal notice from a debt collector agent that literally says, "I have attended your premises." And the whole letter is all about getting money that is apparently owed. This is evidence beyond reasonable doubt that your home, my home, all of our homes are legally recognized or presumed to be the banking business premises of the legally recognized banker. So hopefully the imagery from the first slide of this presentation makes much more sense now. From one lens, the left lens, you have a beautiful home where a beautiful, happy family lives and thrives. Then from the other lens, the right one, you have the home transformed into a bank, and the family are no longer there. In their place is their banking persona instead. A question to ask ourselves is, which side are we going to choose to recognize ourselves on? An overview of what we have covered in this presentation includes how we are all legally recognized as carrying out the business of banking, how all businesses need a physical location that is registered as their premises for the purpose of delivering legal paperwork, that the word bank can refer to the physical building where banking services are actually offered from, and that bank statements, utility bills, and debt collector letters all act as evidence that your home is being legally recognized as your banking business premises. So that brings us to the end of this presentation, and I hope that now you are able to see how your home is legally recognized as a bank. So in other words, the premises from where you are legally recognized as doing banking business from. I mean, even having some of what's on the screen right now, Bank of England notes, is literally another example of banking business activity because, well, a Bank of England note is copyrighted property of the Bank of England. So they are their property that if you have any in your home, well, you're essentially safekeeping this property for them. And if you recall, that is an example of banking business activity. So this has been some serious eye-opening information that we have discussed today. As always, thank you for joining me in this one. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles!